Ciryl Gane versus Tai Tuivasa takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Paris. Gane versus Tuivasa, and I can't wait for this heavyweight bout. Two top contenders in the heavyweight division. The winner of this one, in my opinion, will be next for Curtis Blaydes. We're in a bit of a weird situation right now at heavyweight. Usually, if Tai Tuivasa won this matchup, he should arguably be getting a title shot, but because of the way things are working out with John Jones making his debut at heavyweight, but also never making his debut at heavyweight, we're going to have to wait a little bit of time. Plus, we've got Francis Ngannou, who's injured. I believe they're going to do Jones versus Miocic in December, and the winner of that one versus Ngannou in March or April of next year, something along those lines. So the winner of this one will be next for Curtis Blaydes, and the winner of that one will be in a title shot scenario. So, who's going to win? Ciryl Gane or Tai Tuivasa? I believe Ciryl Gane's going to win. However, I do not agree with the narrative that this is already set in stone that Ciryl Gane's going to win, because Tai Tuivasa is Tai Tuivasa, and he has the Tuivasa factor. He's also Samoan, so he's got the Samoan factor as well. And these two things can lead to drastic upsets in contests. He's got the one-shot power, he's got the durability, but does he have the cardio to keep up in a high-paced fight with Ciryl Gane? That's the question. And it's something that we haven't actually had yet answered by Tuivasa since he's initially had those problems in his career against guys like Blagoy-Ivanov, against guys like JDS, against other opponents as well. Sergey Spivak made him into he turned the fight into like a grueling grappling match, and Tai Tuivasa just couldn't keep up, eventually gave up a bad position and got submitted by Sergey Spivak. But we haven't really seen Tai Tuivasa in an extended fight yet, and this is a 5-round matchup, and I don't see Ciryl Gane playing games in the first round in the pocket with Tai Tuivasa, giving him that opportunity. Also, you know, Tuivasa's wins, Greg Hardy, Harry Hunsucker, they haven't aged too well, but he does have a very good win over Derek Lewis. But then again, his win over Augusto Sakai hasn't really aged too well either. In all honesty, like, Augusto Sakai has turned out to be quite an absolute disgrace of a UFC heavyweight, in all honesty. And you've got, of course, Harry Hunsucker, just got finished by Tyson Pedro. Maybe he's allergic to Samoans, who knows? Also got beat by Justin Tafa, by the way, by KO. Either way, I just feel as though he has a good win in Derek Lewis. But Derek Lewis, it's hard to tell how good someone is when they beat him, because it's just a 50-50 toss-up nearly every time with Derek Lewis. They're either a very good fighter and they're just going to like beat Derek Lewis for the duration and then finish him, or they're a very good fighter and they beat Derek Lewis for the duration and then get finished. But Tuivasa has been one of the few that's taken some massive shots from Derek Lewis, who looked switched on at the time, and then gone out there and got the win eventually in the second round, breaking Derek Lewis and hitting him with that elbow in the second round and making him go out cold. However, I do believe that Ciryl Gane is going to take Tai Tuivasa into the later rounds of this 5-round contest. And I think if he does that, it's going to be massive problems for Tai Tuivasa. And I was thinking to myself, will Tai Tuivasa be able to land leg kicks at range against Ciryl Gane? He won't. I truly believe he won't be able to. And I respect Tai Tuivasa. I think he's got a good game. I think he can fight guys of his build, maybe a little bit taller than him. But those long-rangey guys, I think Alexander Volkov would give Tai Tuivasa massive problems in the heavyweight division. Maybe he would be have a better chance of chopping at the legs of Alexander Volkov than he would against Ciryl Gane. But Ciryl Gane is just not even in range half of the time. And that's a problem that Tuivasa is going to run into. Ciryl Gane is not even in range of striking with Tai Tuivasa for the majority of this contest, and that's how it's going to be. He's going to be tapping at Tai Tuivasa at range, throwing lead leg side kicks to the thigh of Tai Tuivasa, throwing teeps to the body on Tai Tuivasa, throwing oblique kicks to Tuivasa, throwing a jab and then moving, and if Tuivasa tries to close the distance, he'll literally just turn his back and run away and get as far out of there as he can and take the center of the cage again. He's just so good at not allowing people into his range. Maybe Tuivasa is going to be better at closing the distance than Derek Lewis, perhaps. Do I then see him finishing Ciryl Gane? No, because every time you hit Ciryl Gane, you're not catching him going into a shot. Like when Derek Lewis scores his amazing KOs, he catches Curtis Blades dipping into the uppercut and stuff like that. A lot of these heavyweight KOs come from people like going into the shot themselves and then getting slept out cold. Like we just saw Curtis Blades, Chris Daukaus as well, to talk about some recent heavyweight KOs that we've seen. Or it's like an onslaught and eventually a big shot lands. I don't see an onslaught occurring from Tai Tuivasa. I don't see him having a moment where he's going to be landing multiple shots on Ciryl Gane. I think it's going to have to be a one-shot type deal. And do I see him KOing Gane with one shot as Gane's moving away from him at all times, staying at the end of his punch range? I don't see it happening. So he's going to have to chop the legs, try and disable the leg of Ciryl Gane, and then try and do some work. Maybe try and clinch up against the cage with him, but Ciryl Gane's so good in the clinch. And he's not Augusto Sakai. He's not Augusto Sakai. That much is obvious. Ciryl Gane, we saw this in the clinch with Derek Lewis. Lewis tried to get him in the clinch, and immediately he's underhook, over-unders, turn around, get good head position, shimmy Derek Lewis into the cage, start kneeing the thigh, start stomping the foot. I don't think Tuivasa can even play the game of I'm just going to clinch him against the cage, because Gane's very technical there, and he's got very close elbows, good punches there, good knees from that position. He always stays safe when he separates. He gets wrist control before he leaves the clinch, like Petr Yan does, but Petr Yan does it so he can attack when he leaves the clinch with some elbows or punches or kicks of his own. But Ciryl Gane does it so that they can't attack. When they leave the clinch, he gets wrist control, he separates, and then moves away into safety, into the center of the cage. I just don't see Tuivasa doing too well in this matchup. And I think Ciryl Gane's going to chop at his legs, start picking at him. It's going to be a very boring first round of him just making Tuivasa move. Maybe they're in the clinch for a bit and Gane turns it round and stomps the feet, knees the thigh. Maybe the crowd starts to get a bit restless. Round 2. Tuivasa tries out a few more exchanges, but doesn't score the one-punch KO, lands a couple of shots, but Gane's still landing good jabs, and now he's picking up the teeps to the body and landing more leg kicks and stomping out the knee of Tai Tuivasa and winning the clinch a little bit harder with some knees to the body and separating again. And then maybe he goes for a sweep on Tuivasa and gets it, and Tuivasa has to work back up to his feet. Round 3. Tuivasa starts going real reckless, starts getting hit with some big shots from Gane, but taking them, gets a little bit wobbled for a bit, but stays in there, lands some good shots on Gane as he comes in, and then Gane separates and plays it patient for the rest of the round. Teeps, leg kicks, jabs, moving away, finds the clinch, elbow, knee to the stomach, separate again, make Tuivasa work against the cage. I just feel as though Tuivasa by round 4 is going to be exhausted, and I think that's when Gane starts really committing to his leg kicks. Gane has different types of leg kicks, and this is something that we don't normally see at heavyweight. Normally a guy throws a leg kick, it's a leg kick. But Gane has round 1 and 2 leg kicks, and then once the opponent is tired type leg kicks. And he starts changing the sort of like viciousness of his shots. He'll start tapping at the legs in round 1. Barely anything on the leg kick, just touching you, scoring points is basically what he's doing. It's annoying. It's going to hurt a little bit if he keeps doing it to you. But it's just to sort of wear you down a bit and make you flinch and make you react to stuff and things like that. And he's going to start turning it over a bit, start tapping at the outside leg instead of the inside leg, stomping on that lead knee again, really trying to mess up your leg and stuff like that. Then when you get tired, he really starts turning his hips over and chopping at the legs. And that's when it starts to hurt. And that's what really started the end for Derek Lewis. He started landing these really big chopping leg kicks on him, and I just don't see Tuivasa having any success, man. I really don't. Gane's got an underrated chin. His cardio's great for heavyweight if he doesn't have to spend all his time underneath like he was against Ngannou, which I doubt he expected in any way whatsoever. I assume he was so scared of the power of Ngannou. He was in no way ready to defend takedowns or do any kind of grappling in that matchup. I think that's something he's going to learn from to be ready for all things. I think he arguably should have beat Ngannou. I'll mention that as much as possible because no one does. And everyone says, oh, Ngannou's son in like the comments. And I'm like, dude, if you know about MMA scoring, Gane should have won round 5 and won the fight. But you know what? 49-46 Ngannou. Makes sense. Either way, I'm going with Gane. I'm going with Gane by round 4. Shots against the cage. Tuivasa is more exhausted than anything. Gets finished. Covers up. Doesn't really defend himself too much. Looks disappointed in himself. But Gane's just that level of striker. And even if it does go to the ground, Gane has got good submissions. He goes for stuff. He scrambles well. He likes to stay close to his opponent as well, which is very good at heavyweight because he gives them not much of a wind up for punches and stuff like that. He did this against Ngannou very well. He always stayed glued to Ngannou on the ground in the exchanges. In some moments, this is why he couldn't get up straight away, because he was putting himself in a less vulnerable position to punches as he did get back up. But on the ground, he glues himself to his opponent so they can't wind up a punch on him and really scoop it in there on the ground. So I like Gane's IQ in all areas, unless when he goes for a heel hook in round 5 when he's on top of Ngannou ready to win the fight. And I also like Gane's chances here to win this one. He's in front of his home crowd. Tuivasa does slow down in a reasonably paced fight. Gane doesn't. I think we're going to see Ciryl Gane get this one done. Plus, Gane's been around not long in the UFC sphere and in the MMA sphere in general. He's had some experience doing kickboxing, and I know he had some amateur fights as well, but he hasn't been doing this for too long. We got to remember, Tai Tuivasa is 15-3. That's a pretty commendable record, and those 3 losses were in a row. And he did have some kickboxing fights before that, a couple of amateur bouts as well. But he's been around for a long time. I know he's 29 and he's actually the younger guy here, but he's been around since 2012. That's a decade, and he had amateur fights. So I'd expect him to have been around for at least 12 years in the game of martial arts. When you look at Ciryl Gane, 10-1, he joined the pro scene in 2018. That's 4 years in the game. At best, 6 years, if you want to say he had 2 years at amateur, which I doubt as well. But at best, 6 years in the game. The amount of improvements he's going to make in a 8-month turnaround, we've seen this before from him. And I don't think we really got the chance to see his improvements because he was so active on the rise. He fought JDS in December of 2020, fought Rosenstruik in February of 2021, 2 months later, took no damage there in a bit of a snooze fest, and then he went out there against Alexander Volkov 4 months later, had a good scrap over 5 rounds, won that one, turned back around 2 months later again. We've never really seen an extended period of time of Gane taking time away to really develop and work on himself. So I think we're going to see the best Gane we've ever seen, and I can't say that about Tuivasa. So yeah, Ciryl Gane wins, looks for the Curtis Blaydes fight, which is a incredibly tough matchup for him. So that's one that I'm really interested by. It would also be a Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane fight, which could have been really interesting as well. But, injuries happen, and now Curtis Blaydes is the guy. So Curtis Blaydes, Ciryl Gane, equally an amazing matchup. And that's the one I want to see next. If he wins this one, I don't know where we're going to do it, but maybe if he wins this in easy enough style, we can do that matchup. January, February, something along those lines. Let's not rush it because we don't know what's going on with John Jones. Let's see what's going on with John Jones Miocic first. Maybe if they're doing it in December for sure, we could have this be on that card as well, but we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping Tuivasa gets the upset because I love him. I love Tuivasa, but you got Ciryl Gane here. 83 inches of reach. Leg reach is going to be a massive advantage as well here in terms of how he's going to deal with the leg kicks of Tuivasa. He's got a 8-inch reach advantage over Tai Tuivasa. That's a lot when you're no one. You could give Blagoy Ivanov an 8-inch reach advantage over Tuivasa. You're not going to notice it that much. It'll be a big deal, but you're not going to notice it that much. Gane is a master of range control and distance management, giving him 8 inches of reach to work with. It's going to be problematic for Tuivasa, but I'm hoping that he wins. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.